actually, you can find your voice. Alex Perry should know. She's the founder of Practically Speaking, where she helps people find their voice, both literally and figuratively. But Alex's journey is about so much more than just becoming a successful speaking coach, which she has done. It's also about bravery, reinvention, and having the courage to rewrite your story and own your narratives over and over again. Alex started her career as a speech-language pathologist, helping people recover after life-altering injuries and regain their ability to speak after illness. That work ignited a passion for helping others to embrace the actual, real, profound gift of being able to communicate. So transitioning from the hospital floor to the world of coaching wasn't easy, especially as someone who never planned to become an entrepreneur. But Alex's story is one of deep personal and professional transformation. From challenging societal norms about what success should look like, to walking away from the pressure to scale at all costs, to embracing a path that truly aligns with her values. I'm Lindsay Chepkema, and this is Actually I Can. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. Okay, so you are here because you are a dear, dear friend who I don't get to see enough. And so this is actually kind of an excuse for me to talk to you. Not that we need one, but I figured if we got something on the calendar and we were recording, then we would, really make the time. So here we are.
Here we are.
Okay. And among a lot of other things, you are really, really brilliant at helping people find their voice and use it. And me included, you have helped me. The way that comes through tactically is with Practically Speaking, which is you help people write and rehearse and prepare for talks. But there's so much more to you than that. And you are and always will be everyone's front row fan. Alex signs her emails that way. You're forever front row fan, and she means it. So anyway, hi, Alex.
Hi.
So, you tell me a little bit about how you spend your days and what you do, and then we'll rewind from there.
Sure. So the official Practically Speaking story. So my background, I'm a speech language pathologist. I spent nearly 20 years helping people who either by accident, illness, injury, or by birth didn't develop their ability to speak or lost their ability to speak. And so I spent the last part of my career on the brain injury unit at Community North Hospital here in Indianapolis, literally talking to people, working with people who were talking one day and not talking the next. And that's a pretty incredible thing. Yeah. So imagine you get up on a regular day and then you have stroke or you get in a car accident or a gunshot wound, you name it. I saw it all. And so my mission around helping people talk stems from my work with those folks, because think about it. What would you say if you knew tomorrow you would never speak again? And who would you listen to if you knew tomorrow they would never speak? Mm-hmm. And so those things run deep in my heart. And when I started looking out at the world of what else could I do outside of speech pathology, there was this space of public speaking and presentation training and presence and all this fancy stuff. And I walk out of a hospital and I look at everyone around me. I'm like, you all talk great. there's literally nothing wrong with what you say or how you say it or the words that you use. And yet it causes so much discomfort, and there's so many rules, and there's so much judgment, and there's so much head stuff that occurs with folks that I wanted to do something about that, because I know what that feels like. And I also think, as compared to not having this ability to do this right here, which is the greatest gift we're ever going to get, ever. We're never going to get something greater than this, in my opinion. You can see I hold my opinions back.
Yes, I need you to open up a little bit more, please.
But what a gift this is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. So how can I make somebody's everyday life just a little bit easier by reminding them that this is a gift and that there are ways to do your public speaking. There's ways to do your presentation. There's ways to ask for a promotion, and you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you started by literally helping people find their voice to helping figuratively people find their voice. And one of the many, 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 many reasons that we're friends and that I love you so much is something that you kind of sprinkled in there just a minute, which is like there are lots of ways to be a public speaker. There are lots of rules. There are lots of, there's lots of, just like with everything else. I think I just posted to somewhere the other day about how there are people make money by telling you what you're doing wrong. That's how much of the world works. It's like you're not public speaking good. You need to do it better, and I have the answers in my 10-step program. That costs this amount of money. Like so much of the world operates by telling you you're not doing something right. And I mean, that's not my approach. Like I try to say, hey, like you have a story. Let's help it fuel your business. And that's what I love about you is that you don't. I mean, when we worked together on a couple of different talks that I had, and even just like life situations that I had, you do not take that approach. Like, you do not subscribe to that. Like you don't say, here's my 10-step program and here's my framework. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you start by listening and you seek first to connect and understand and to help grow what's already there. How have you met resistance with that as you have built a business that is not built on telling people what they're doing wrong?
Well, I did learn you have to have some type of framework. I do know now that a framework is helpful to people. But in terms of resistance, for the most part, I only came up against it in my own experience working for another entrepreneur and being told that what I was doing was incorrect and being told that I had to shape and reshape and morph myself in order to fit into a box. That if I just did these 4 steps, there were literally 4 steps that were supposed to reduce my nerves to the point that I would be an eloquent speaker. And not only did I have to do that, I had to teach that to other people. And what I consistently found was that didn't work. Right? There is no formula for humanity.
Wait, what? Say that one more time.
There's no formula for humanity. Shocker.
What now?
I don't care what Huberman says. We can go outside and get as much sunlight into our eyeballs. I do love a good Huberman podcast, but there's no formula for this. And so are there things there's things that help and things that maybe don't help, but that's going to be unique to you. So for the most part, I mean, there've been some people that have brushed up against it and said, well, this isn't therapy, or I'm like, well, no, it's not therapy, but we have to talk about how you speak and how you interact and how you show up. And then we can hone that. A message can be honed. You can framework words, but you're not going to be as successful if you don't show up as yourself. So how do we strip away all the things that you have learned? How do we do all the unlearning so you can focus on the parts that really matter? Connecting with your audience, telling a great story, making sure your content is on point. You can't do that if you're worried about all the other formulaic things that people say in public speaking will make you a better public speaker. I just cry. I've had enough evidence that that's just BS. It doesn't work that way.
It's true. And quite often, when you keep asking yourself the question, who benefits from this? Like if you look at a program, a business, a philosophy, and if it's like, who benefits from this? Who benefits from me buying into this? Like, is it partially me and mostly the other person who's going to get a sale? Is it some mechanism that I'm a proof point, or is it me? Like, am I going to be a better, storyteller as part of this? Am I going to be more confident? Like, is part of me going to shine through on that stage when I'm speaking? And with you, it's always the person you're working with. And that's so clear. It's the person who has a story to tell or an opportunity to connect with an audience, they're the one who benefits. Whereas I think so many other programs, so many other opportunities to pay for something, it's like, who benefits from this? Well, the people who take your money. And it makes me sad because it doesn't be that way. Yeah. So how long have you been doing this? Remind me.
About 7.5 years.
Okay. So has it always been this way? What kind of evolutions have you gone through? I was just laughing as a business, like, cause you got started, like you said, you walked out of a hospital and, a light went on and you said, people want to speak, I can help them.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that origin story. Let's talk about how it started, and then we'll talk about how it's going.
Yeah. So it started as what else could I do with, I have a master's degree, just walk away from that. In my mind, especially in my world, my parents were like, what are you crazy? Like, that's a good, solid job. So I went to work for another entrepreneur, as I kind of alluded to at the beginning. So I did that for 2 years first, because it wasn't a great fit, differences in style and all of the things that, happen. But when I left that role, I actually left under a non-compete and having no interest or desire to open a business. I was not one of those people who said, yay, let's be an entrepreneur. That was not my story. I was like, business, I can barely spell it. So like, is it how many S's are in business? It was that exercise.
Bus-I-ness. Yes.
Got exactly. It.
Wednesday. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened was I left. I didn't really have much of a game plan and was still doing PRN at the hospital. I could still pick up hours. I could still work, but I really enjoyed the coaching. I really enjoyed the training. And I had a client who reached out to me and he said, listen, I think you have all the potential in the world to be an entrepreneur, and I think you should do it. And he recommended the book. It was Christy Wright, I believe is her name, Business Boutique. It's like one of the Ramsey things. I still have it. It's all printed out on like black and white paper. So I was like, I don't know. I just don't think this is a thing. Who am I? Who am I? I don't know anything about business. So I found myself at a church sharing part of my personal story and was talking about how I just walked away from this job. This was the work that I had done. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And I had a woman come up to me afterwards and she said, I want to hire you. I saw what you did up there and I want to do that. And I was like, okay. So, right, you get all the feels. You're like, I'm in a church and there's this message and all the things. So
it's happening.
It's happening. I went home and I looked at my husband and I said, here's what's happened. And he's like, well, we should give it a try. And I opened up my little $90 LLC and I got a $5 Fiverr business card that looks like Star Wars. I mean, it's hilarious.
That's amazing.
So I did that and I took on this one client and from there hard scrabbled my way to where I am today. So the evolution of it started with clip art and a poorly formed like Gmail, whatever G Suite website that I tried to create. I got some business coaching. I got some other business coaching for a while. I really thought I was going to be a social media influencer. I wrote 2 books.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have one literally right there.
Mini Mogul, Crash Course in Confidence. And then I wrote a workbook to go with it. I did a TEDx talk. I did all of the outward things that are supposed to bring all of the success. And they brought so much. And they were the first evolution of where I'm going. Because for me, what I realized at a certain point was that wasn't it. That's not it. I want to know you. I want to be with you. I want to serve you. I want to be in person. If I can be in person, I don't mind virtual stuff, but the concept of having 4 million followers, it actually terrifies me. That would be scary for me. So, so that evolution has really transitioned to, hey, the heart of why I started all of this was because I really love helping people, as dorky as it may sound. I love helping people figure out that they can present and not want to peep on their shoes. I love helping people realize that they can talk in front of their boss and not lose their mind. I love helping people craft a keynote. That's wonderful and great, but there's so many other instances of communication that I can help with. So the evolution of the business has really gone there to where it's confidence when you speak. How do I just help you be confident when you speak? And if I can do that for the rest of my life, I think I'll be really happy.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yes. No, it's a lot, but it's like, I'm like jumping up, like I'm jumping up inside, like up and down inside, because that's exactly what this is about, is like, let's pull that apart a little bit. So you went the, in your words, like social media influencer route, which is, I mean, cool. That's awesome. Cool. That's great. I love your book. I have it. I love it. I was cheering you on every step of the way. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about that. Nothing at all. But like, that's what someone told you. Maybe it was an actual person. Maybe it was the world. Maybe it was yourself. Maybe it was a bucket list item. I don't know what it was, but at some point it was like, that's a thing. And then you said, nope, not really. Maybe not for me. I'm going to go over here now. So what did that look like for you? Like, did that going to go this way? Like, what was that kind of like, actually I can moment when you were like, I don't know, what was that whole spot like for you?
Yeah. It really came in the midst of just personal crap. And it came in the midst of a really hard time in my marriage, a really hard time in my life, where I realized that having all of my humanness on social media was maybe not the grandest plan for what I wanted to achieve. Mm-hmm. And that while it felt good, it felt really good in so many ways, because it'll feed you. You let it. It'll feed your soul. You're like, I love supplements and it's fun. And I do love, and I will probably write again, but there was just this moment where I was like, I'm shutting all of this down. I'm taking all of this away, and I can do that, and it will not fall apart. So I went through this, I like to call it maybe my own version of quiet quitting, where I quit. I just quit. Life was so hard. The things that were happening at home were so hard that I quit. And I said, I'm not speaking. I am not writing. I am not on social media. Actually, I'm going to walk away from all of this. And I did. And the world, ironically, did not fall apart.
Here we are.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it was that, if you're talking about the actually I can moment, it was just like, not only can I need to. Mm-hmm. I need to, because if I don't, I'm going to lose whatever part of myself that I'm trying so hard to protect in this moment. I don't want to lose. Like, there's something about not giving all of yourself away.
Yes.
And I didn't want to give all of myself away.
Yeah.
I wanted to protect a certain piece of whatever is me, like something that's just mine.
Yes. And I think what I'm learning going through some stuff is that I think a lot of people have those moments. I think almost all of us do. It's just a matter of when and what it looks like, and what your special flavor of that special situation in your life looks like. But like, it's what we choose to do with it, right? And how we look at, what am I going to learn, and what part of myself am I going to protect? I think especially since, we'll see where this show goes, but what I'm aiming to do is to speak to founders of all, stages and sizes of, to say, hey, like, actually you can do things your way. And when you're going through some stuff, when you do have that moment, you can choose yourself. You don't have to choose grit, hustle, grind in the way the world defines it, in the way that an investor might define it, or your audience might define it, or social media might define it. Like, you don't have to share things publicly. You don't have to push through. you can check in with yourself and say, what do I need? What do I need? What do I want? Where do I want to go from here? And that can be a professional decision, that can be a personal decision, that can be everything in between. But yeah, and I think if you let it, you're not only, it's going to make you stronger, but it can also make you a whole lot happier on the other side, whatever the other side is.
There's so many songs that are like, if you don't keep going, somebody's going to take your place. Or if you don't keep the, grind going, you're going to lose everything. And what I learned was I hit the brakes so hard. I just hit them. I was like, so what?
Yeah.
And actually, not only did I not quote unquote lose everything, it was the change that I needed to actually make my business more profitable, more successful, more impactful, actually doing the thing that I set out to do in the first place, instead of chasing whatever it was. Yeah. Chasing minivan mogul life is what I would call it. Right? The teenage phase of my existence that I hope I end up on Star Search.
Yeah. I want to be on Star Search.
Can that still be a thing? Okay. We can still do that.
Okay, good. Well, something you said there I think is really important, because I think quite often in conversations like these that are held on podcasts like these, it's one or the other. It's either, here's a moment that happened in my business and in my life, and I pushed through anyway, and that's how I succeeded. Or here's a moment that happened in my life and in my business, and I chose me, and the success wasn't there, and everything fell apart, but I'm happier. And it can be both. It really can. Success can look different, but it can also look the same. But you can choose a much healthier path there. You don't have to choose success or happiness. It can be both. And I don't think we even let ourselves believe that that's true.
Yeah. It can be both. And it has to be authored by you. Because I think that's the piece that I have learned and continue to relearn, is that I was letting thoughts about, it's kind of dorky to want to do this, or, what if these are not the best clients? You always want to be striving for something greater. And I'm like, but what I have in front of me is so great.
Yeah.
So why am I looking over here or trying to elevate to the next level?
For what?
For what? How do I know that this level isn't the exact right level where I need to be and where the biggest impact? I've seen some other levels. I'm not sure I make the same kind of impact there.
Yeah.
And my goal was always to impact people, to help them feel like they could do something.
Yeah. Well, and you do, by the way. That's what you do.
I hope so.
Goal achieved.
Goal achieved.
Well, I think what I've noticed in my own life and in speaking to a lot of other founders, not just for sure not on the show, but over the last several years, is there are so many voices in our heads and all around us on social media, people who are investing literally or figuratively in your business and in you and believe in you. People, even when it comes from love of you can do big things. When you are an achiever, when you are someone who has done big things, you're so right. It is on to the next. Obviously, this endeavor can't just be a dream or a hobby. It has to be a business. And that business can't just be a lifestyle business, because who would want the lifestyle business? It has to be a legacy business. And that legacy business has to hire people. And those people also have to be achieve. When you take a step back and you've been, especially not only with when, but especially when you've been refined by fire, and it's wait, what's all this for? I say all the time, who is it for and why are we doing it? That goes for marketing campaigns, and it goes for your life. Who's this for? Why am I doing it? You in particular, Alex, have found a very, very special, very important niche, helping people literally stand on stages and find their voice, and you're cheering them on every step of the way in a way that feels rich and authentic, and is rich and authentic to them. And it's not dorky, and like you're literally helping people and you're helping people help other people. And I mean, from what you just said, like from a business perspective, I mean, you're not doing it for free. Like you're finding success and that's amazing. And I don't know how at some point we started to tell ourselves that that's not how it should be. But I think so many of us do. It's like, well, Alex, how are you going to scale this? How are you going to scale? How are you going to grow? And like, when did we start believing the hype?
Well, you talk about legacy, and I think about that a lot. And I mean, I've certainly stuck my foot in my mouth and, yammered on about legacy, but for me, the most important legacy we'll ever leave is the one that we're leaving at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one here because you and I have both faced some pretty big things. And I lost my dad this year. And when I say, like, who would you talk to or who would you listen to? What would, if you knew. And so many of us face that we don't even know.
Right.
Yeah. So the legacy for me, I realized too, like I have this beautiful daughter, I have this beautiful family. I'm like, I have my legacy. So whatever this business is a business. Like I'm going to put my business in its place.
Mm-hmm.
It is a business. And so for that to be my legacy, I'm like, my focus, at least for me, is always here, always here. And everything else, I think it's great for people who want to grow and scale and build. And maybe I will too at some point. I don't know. But I just think we have to be careful about that mindset because there's so much, it just negates the beauty that we already have in front of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm thankful that there are people who do grow and scale and do the crazy big things. I mean, they are changing lives and, running businesses and countries and, like that have to do things, hopefully for the good of people. But I digress. And I hope that yes, there are people who that's what they're here for and are in the season of that, that type of growth and that type of scale. But at some point, I think we're all told to believe that should be all of us and that that's what success looks like. And if you're not first, you're last. And so not only are you a founder, as am I, we both work with founders and talk with a lot of founders and business leaders. So what would you say to somebody who is in that? Like, okay, this is my world, this is your world, but like, Alex, you don't understand. Like I'm in this place where I'm under a lot of pressure to grow and do the next thing. And they're starting to become really entwined with the business, and the business is the thing, not a thing. Like, how do you, because a lot of what you do is a little part therapy and a little part speaking coaching. Like, what does that look like for some of the conversations you have with people that are really in it?
Yeah. I can think of several leaders I have right now that are in it. And what I say is that you're making a choice. And so when you make those choices, number one, don't expect them to be comfortable. So it may not be comfortable for you, may not be comfortable for the other people, that we're never going to make everyone happy. That's not so especially as a female founder, the pressure to make sure everyone feels comfortable and happy, especially if you're Midwestern, all the time.
100% of the time.
Let's make sure everyone feels good and has some coffee to drink while they do it.
Yeah.
That's not a reality. So you have to pick and choose. And then what's the feeling that you want to have? So I believe this was Elizabeth Gilbert who asks this question, which is, do you want to feel guilt or do you want to feel resentment? Because I think for many of us, we're trying to avoid the uncomfortable feeling. You're going to feel uncomfortable. So which uncomfortable would you like? You get to pick one. And you can pick guilt, which is, I feel bad that this is making you unhappy, right? Like a little bit of guilt, or I resent you for this. And so my advice to founders in that realm is start to ask yourself those questions. I don't have the answer, but you need to ask yourself those questions. And don't try to escape the hard, because the hard is it. You have to face the hard in one capacity or another. So start asking yourself, what do you want to live with?
Dang. Dang, Alex. That's a big one. That is a big one. Especially for people pleasers. Come on now.
I know, right? I'm like, is this line of questioning not making you happy, Lindsay?
I know. I'm like, I feel very personally attacked right now.
No, but I think you have
it's right.
You have to ask
sure.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to be willing. I think for so many people pleasers, you end up in a spot of leadership because right? Like I can make this change and I can make people happy and I can do these things. And then you get caught in the trap of actually, that's not a reality.
Actually, I can't.
Actually, I can't.
Okay, so kind of like part 2 of that, talking about like how do you meet people where they are when they're really in it, right? You and I both also are all for story. And for me, that's trying to help founders and business leaders actually like lead and make decisions of their business based on story. And you very similarly, not unlike that, are helping them get on stage and lead through their words, whether it's a room full of their employees or audience members or whatever, through story. And both of those take a lot of bravery. It's like, look, I'm not asking you to get up there and tell all of your deepest, darkest secrets, but like who you are matters. Who you are in this situation, whether it's in a board meeting or up on a stage giving a TED Talk, who you are matters. And the more you let people in, the more effective that's going to be. So I've seen you do it. You've talked through it with me of like, how do you speak to founders that are nervous and scared to share, to pull back the curtain and to go there and to be vulnerable and don't know how to be? How deep do I go? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first we have the conversation around how far do you want to go? Because I think it's really important. One of the things that has always been impactful for me or important for me is to remember that the person on the stage sharing their story needs to feel 100% comfortable with that story, or it's going to do damage to themselves. So if we're sharing something particularly vulnerable, my goal is to make sure that you are 100% comfortable with that and all of the ramifications with that. When someone is nervous, it starts small. Start small. Start by telling 1 or 2 people and see what kinds of reactions that you get. See how people absorb your level of vulnerability that you're sharing in that particular moment. As a general rule, we love it when a speaker is vulnerable. We love it when somebody shares a hard story, right up until the point if it's too awkward. Yeah. So I always say if you can't get through a difficult story without sobbing, that's not the one to tell.
Yeah.
So it's matching I feel comfortable enough to share this and I understand why I'm sharing it.
That's a big one. Why? Yep.
Why are you sharing that story? Are you sharing that story because you want to make someone feel less alone? Or are you sharing that story because there's the underlying, look at what I've done.
Yeah.
I've survived the mountain and now I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to guide you with the 4 simple steps of how you too can.
Or help. Don't get on stage and ask for help. Please help me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So a lot of times it's a conversation around why, what impact do you want to have, and where's your level of comfort. So I never ask someone to do something that doesn't feel, to do or share something that doesn't feel okay to them.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, one thing that I run into, and I'm sure you do too, I'm curious about it, is vulnerability isn't necessarily sharing something secret and personal, right? Sometimes it's, I'm letting you into this side of my life. Like, I am really into health and fitness, and I'm a founder of a tech company, and the two have nothing to do with each other. But when working with somebody like you, or maybe like me, or somebody else who's really into story, it's like, yes, it does. That absolutely impacts how you're leading your company. And it's like, well, but that's not how I lead. Like, I'm the fact that I run marathons, or the fact that I'm an animal lover, or that I do these things with my kids. Like, that's not part of the story. It's like, no, it absolutely is. And that's vulnerability too. Like, letting people see the personal side of it. It doesn't have to be dark, doesn't have to be scary, doesn't have to be a secret. Yeah. It's all part of your why. And people, on a personal level, people like that and want more of that. And a business level, people buy from that. Like if it needs to be a business decision, people will choose you over your competitors when they know who you are.
Yes, I love that you bring that up, because for so many founders, for so many people, they don't want to share, or are uncomfortable, feel like it's irrelevant.
Yes.
They feel
I mean,
like
that's it. I feel like it's irrelevant.
It's
Who am
irrelevant.
I? Nobody cares that I
Nobody-
love dogs. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. They forget or downplay the connection point that we can have by sharing the very common things. Oh, you like golden doodles? I like golden doodles. Now we have a point of connection. So how many of those points of connection can we have? That's what story is so beautiful in doing, is like, wow, I can picture that. I have been, right? I may not have been in your shoes, but I can picture certain aspects of your life. I'm a parent too. I'm somebody who enjoys nature as well. So
Yeah.
really.
And when you're in a place where you have the blessing and a curse, of being founder, right? Like when you're leading a company, you have the ability to share those things and share part of your why, and in turn weave it into the why of the business. And that's where courage and bravery comes in, is because every time you make a comment that lets people understand a little bit of your why, again, not a secret, but just like, hey, I love animals and I love them so much that's part of why I built the business this way, is because it lets me work from home and spend more time with my animals. And it helps me, a percentage of our profits go toward, this animal like protection thing. Like, you weave it in together and it lets people see the humanness of you and of your business, and establish a connection with you that goes far beyond the ROI that's delivered by your product or the time saving that's delivered by, your software. It's at the end of the day, that's truly how business decisions actually are made.
Well, I also think there's that point that if you are not telling your story, it's really easy for people to superimpose the story on you. So say tech founder, and what image pops into someone's mind? We can control that with a story. We can help change that. Maybe control's too strong of a word, but we can change.
We can shape it.
We can shape.
And you can help shape it not only for yourself, but for others, right? So let's say you're someone who doesn't fit the mold of what a tech founder, for example, looks, sounds, acts like, right? All the more reason for you to share your story and your why and what makes you different, because it will open the door for others. And let's say you are one, like conversely, if you are a, for example, tech founder who looks, sounds, acts like the stereotypical tech founder, all the more reason for you to share your story about what makes you different to help break the mold for other people. So it's not only an opportunity, I think it's a responsibility.
So if we go back to the, founder that might be nervous, how do we get you excited to share the parts of you that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah.
So good.
So good. And that's what you do. And I love it. So, okay. As we wrap up, because this whole thing went by way too fast, what would you offer up to someone? Like, how do you start when somebody comes to you and says, I have no idea where to start. I would like to start doing more speaking, or I have to do more speaking. I've been asked to open up a little bit more and share my story. Where do I even start? What do you tell them?
So my general rule is start with whatever you have. Just start writing. So there's a really powerful connection between getting our thoughts on paper and being able to clarify what our message is. So start messy. For many high achievers, starting messy and having rough drafts and having it not already formulated to come out perfectly, like we put it into Chat GPT and then it just comes out. Like, I think some of us, maybe not all, but we'll expect that that's what the process looks like.
Yeah.
So my goal is just to get started, because that is generally one of the biggest barriers is get anything out. I don't care what it looks like. Let's just get something out, because from there we can shape it. What are the things that when you think about in the middle of the night that you picture, dream about sharing, that you wish people knew? What's the thing that the question that you wish more people would ask you, but they don't? Can we talk about that? Like, what do you wish people would ask you about, but they don't ever ask? Share that. Don't stop waiting to be asked. I think we get caught up in trying to create what we think other people want to hear.
Yes.
Versus saying what we want to say.
Dang. It takes a lifetime to learn that.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, I'm still working on it. Same.
Every day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, Alex, I absolutely adore you so much. And thank you for being here. And we'll do this again very soon because it was a lot of fun. So, yeah. And I'm your front row fan.
Oh, thanks. I'll take it.
And where can people find you if they want more Alex Perry?
So LinkedIn is the best place. So Alex Perry on LinkedIn. You can also find me. I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram, PS with Alex. And go to my website, pswithalex.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. If nothing else, if you want to get to know me and how I operate, that's the best place to find my stories and my helpful thoughts on all things speaking.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me for another episode of Actually, I Can. And did you know that actually you can subscribe so that you never miss an episode? Yeah, do it now. And you can also go to actuallyican.show and watch any episode anytime. Thanks for joining.